If you have any props on your mat, move them out of the way. Next pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog, right? Everybody knows downward facing dog, or they know that it's a yoga pose, right? Okay, so I'm gonna show, and then we'll do it together. There are ways that you can make this pose a little more accessible. If you are stiff, right, or if you're having elbow, wrist pain, I'll show you a little bit method on the chair, a modification on the chair. But right now I'm gonna show you just Adho Mukha Svanasana. So you're going to, there are lots of ways. We could start from Tadasana coming over to Uttanasana, but right now today we're gonna start like so, hands and knees. Okay, and then I want to look at my hands. I want to look and to see, are my fingers really spread out? So if I turn this way, maybe you can see my hands a little better. Back up a little for you. Okay, so you see how my hands, my fingers are really spread out, not together, right? Also, I should say this because it may be applicable to you. If your shoulders are stiff, or if you're having shoulder pain, externally rotate your hands. You see how that helps facilitate that external rotation of the upper arm bones that's so important in this pose. Okay, so you have decided, and again, I'm just showing, you don't have to do anything. You've decided whether or not your hands are externally rotated or facing forward, tucking the toes under. We're going to go up and back. So I lift my knees up and I push my hands down and forward, and I send my torso back towards the front of my thighs, and I reach through my inner foot, right, from the big toe ball mound to the heel to press down, and I move my groins back. Okay, so Adho Mukha Svanasana looks like a really simple pose. We could actually do a whole class on that pose, not today, but we could. All right, so what happens if your heels don't come down? That's okay, we'll get there, all right? So I want everybody to decide how you want to place your hands. Now, if you need a little more assistance in this pose, right? Let's say wrists are hurting or hamstrings are very stiff or something's going on in your back. You would maybe use the chair. You see how the chair is on the mat, and you step back to take Adho Mukha Svanasana with the chair. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. All right, so let's take Adho Mukha Svanasana, or downward facing dog, together. Placing your hands. Look at your hands. Make sure they look the same, both right and left side. Pressing down, that index finger knuckle, rolling the bicep out and the tricep in. Tuck your toes under. Take a nice deep breath with an exhalation. Push the hands down and forward. Lift the hips up and back, and reach back from your big toe ball mound to your inner heel. Press the thighs back. Pull your toes up to move the shin bone up to the knee, and the kneecap up and the quadricep up. Try not to drop the sides of your waist, but to keep them lifted. Take one more breath here. And then down you come. Resting on the hands and knees, just take a couple of breaths, because guess what? We get to do it again, right? Okay, now I want to specify what I meant by lift the sides of your waist. And I'm really sorry that I wore this shirt. I mean, it's a great shirt, but I'm sorry I wore it because it might be a little hard for you to see. Let me tuck it in. There, that's better. Okay, so if I drop the sides of my waist, looks like that. That's not so great for your back, right? You want to keep that navel pulling up towards your spine and the sides of the waist pulling up. Now, when you come into the pose, right, you're moving the weight of the pose from your hands to your feet, and the waist needs to stay lifted. So don't drop it. See how that happens? You want to pull the sides of your waist up and press back. Okay, so let's do it one more time together. Ready? You can take your hands to the chair. If you need that, you can take your hands to the floor. You decide. Take a nice deep breath. As you exhale, up you come. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let your head go. Now, squeeze your arms in. Roll your biceps out. Lift your toes up. Feel like everything is just pulling to the bones. Now, navel to the spine and sides of the waist lift. One more breath. And then down you come. Well done. Okay, so if you have a bolster, you're gonna get that bolster. If you have a cushion from your couch, that probably will work too. This is a resting pose called Adho Mukha Virasana. This can be a little difficult if knee flexion is an issue, if you have knee pain. I'm going to show you the pose and I'm going to talk about how you can modify it. So in Adho Mukha Virasana, from the side it looks like this. The toes are together, the big toes are together, and the knees are apart. In this particular version, we're going to use that bolster to come forward and rest, right? Now, I don't want to just put my face into the bolster, that would be silly. So I'm going to let my arms rest and I'm going to actually turn my head and rest my head on the bolster. I don't want to put my ear down because it muffles my microphone. All these things I have to think about. Okay, so it looks like this. So it's very restful, okay? What happens if you can't sit back on your heels? It's okay, no problem. You would take a blanket and maybe slip that in between the buttocks and the heels. Maybe it would look a little bit like this. So what I'm saying is if you can't quite get down, right, you would take and fill up that space with a blanket, all right? So that's what it looks like from the side. Adho Mukha Virasana, the legs look like this from the front. So the big toes are together, the knees are apart. Again, if you need to have something underneath, right, to take up that space, to make it more comfortable, do that. And then the bolster, right? If you don't have a bolster, if you don't have anything that can be substituted for a bolster, it's all right. You can take the pose without. You can take your hands forward into Adho Mukha Virasana. You can see, no you can't, I'm gonna back up. Sorry. You can see my fingertips, right, on the floor. All right, so let's take Adho Mukha Virasana together, a resting pose. If you have a bolster, it's going to come in between your legs, right? You're going to come forward. Literally, I just want you to rest. I want you to rest in some way that makes sense for your body. So resting your head, your chest, your abdomen on the bolster. You can let your eyes close. Just rest. If your head is resting on the right side, in a moment you're going to turn to rest your head on the left side. So let's do that. If you're not resting on a bolster, you can come up and then go back into the pose. Rest the other side of your head. Okay, and then inhale and bring yourself back up. All right, now move that bolster out of the way. And our last pose is Shavasana, right, which is the hardest pose. It kind of barely is, actually, because you have to be still and then you have to relax, which can be kind of hard. So that means you have to quiet the chatter in your mind, right? Your thoughts like, oh, what do you have to do after you do this little video, or what happened today, or the dog is barking, all the things, right? So you have to be able to detach, and that's why Shavasana can be so difficult. I suggest to take Shavasana very minimally, right? With minimal use of props. Sometimes you can just lie down flat, right? And that's fine, if that's the way you take your Shavasana, go ahead, right? But if you're not quite familiar with this pose, or if you're sort of like, I don't really know what I need, okay, let's figure it out. Chances are you may need a blanket underneath the back of your head. When you lie down, right, I want you to lie down with bent knees, and that blanket is gonna go underneath your head, and you'll pull it towards the nape of your neck, right? Okay, and then the arms are gonna be down by the sides. I don't want you to straighten your legs straight away. I want you to feel what's happening in your lower back, your sacrum. And I think probably most of us would benefit from lifting the buttocks a little and lengthening them away from the waist. Then you kind of feel a little more flat in the back, a little more spread out, and then the arms to the side. Then you're gonna take one leg down and then the other. Okay, now you let the groins release, and you see how the toes just sort of spilled out to the sides. And then the arms go to the sides. Now this business with the blanket underneath the head, if your chin is very high and you feel a lot of tension in the sides of your neck, put another blanket or fold it over one more time. You don't want your chin to be higher than your forehead here. You want there to be this lengthening of the back of the neck, a softening of the front throat. It's a release. Okay. Now, let your eyes close. I'm not gonna do anything wonderful or amazing. I'm gonna be lying down here with you, so you can close your eyes. And then here we begin the process of Shavasana. And you have to, first of all, let go of the physicality of the asana practice that we just did. Like all the poses, the asana. Let go. Maybe you're tired, and that might be easy, right? And then you start to feel like, okay, I'm letting the muscles become soft. But before you go to the muscles, I want you to come back up to the surface of the skin and soften the skin. Start at the top of your head. Feel like the skin on the scalp is softening and releasing down around the backs of your ears. Separate your teeth a bit and make sure you're not clenching your jaw or pushing the tongue into the roof of the mouth. I have a habit of doing that. So you have to let the tongue rest in the lower back palate. And then take a mental look at your eyes. Let the eye itself deepen into the socket. And the corners of the eyes, release them. Try not to squeeze your eyebrows together, right? Or squeeze the eyes shut. Just let them be soft. And the skin across the forehead and the cheekbones, let that soften too. And then come down to the chest, soften the skin across the sternum. Let your abdomen be soft as well. And little by little, each part of the body just begins to let go. And then all of a sudden, you're just still and quiet. And then perhaps the mind goes off taking a thought with it. Oh, I have this to do or that. It's okay. Acknowledge that and see, can you draw your consciousness, your awareness back to the breath and just watch. The gentle inhalation, the soft exhalation. Feel your whole body relax with each exhalation from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. And maybe as you lie here and are still, the breath has become a little more effortless, a deeper inhalation, a softer exhalation. We're just gonna stay here a few moments more. Taking some nice deep inhalations, full soft exhalations. Now take a long, deep inhalation. And as you exhale, bend your elbows to bring your hands back to your body. Just let them rest there. Maybe take a couple more deep breaths. You can kind of feel your ribs expand and soften back. And then slowly you're going to bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. Your eyes can still be closed at this point. And when we roll over to the side, the right side is preferred. If that doesn't work out for your space, it's completely fine. The sun's not going to drop out of the sky. So roll over to your right side and just stay there a moment. Again, your eyes can stay closed or you can open them, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then finally, you're going to use the hand and the arm to push yourself up and to sit. I do suggest that maybe you take that blanket that was behind your head and sit on it, or you can sit on your bolster and just cross your legs in a way that is comfortable for you. Let the hands rest on the thighs. Raise the face just a little and then let the eyes close again. And then when you're ready, bring the palms together at the heart in Namaskarasana. The palms are touching, the heel of the hand to the base of the sternum. Take a nice deep breath as you exhale, bow the mind to the heart. Namaste. I thank you so much for joining me in this video. And like I said, I'm going to be posting a couple a week. And any questions that you might have, just message me. I'd be happy to answer them. Anything that you would like to see in a video, maybe a particular pose that you want to have broken down, I'm also open to that. So let me know. And again, thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.